Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Hi, it's Chris. I'm joined by Anna and Craig. Have we talked about Craig yet, Anna?
I don't think so. So that's going to sound very strange for people.
Yeah, okay. So in our hunt for a solution that was not going to require Anna or I to sell a portion of the podcast to fund our extravagant adventures.
Organs. Yeah.
That's pretty much all we got left of value. When it comes to the podcast, true. We found a new recording solution. This recording solution carries with it no cost to begin, though there is some benefit is to maybe us throwing a few bucks its way through its own very own Patreon. But it's through Discord, which if you're a member of C4 Discord, you know about. And if you have not joined C4 Discord, discord.io/C4 podcast is the place to go. It's our sort of podcast community. We talk about all sorts of stuff. But this bot essentially records us, and the bot's name is Craig.
Oh,
so hi, Craig. How you doing, Anna?
Yeah, I'm okay. Feel like summer's winding up, which is kind of okay. I'm okay.
Yeah,
with
the
it.
temperatures are trending towards our sort of warm fall weather. We did get a spike of heat this past week. There were a couple of days that got a little summer-like.
Yeah, and Saturday, so yesterday as we're recording, very smoky in Vancouver,
Mhm.
but then it poured down. So
Overnight,
when
when it
well,
should.
yes, I was caught out in it, but
Well, that's because
serves
you're out,
me right.
like, you know, what do you young people do these days? Rave? Is that still a thing?
I was out raving for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. But yeah, so glad of the rain in a way, even though it's not the most pleasant thing to be caught in.
Well,
And yeah,
I
it
was
does
not
feel
caught in
like-
the rain.
No. Do you like getting caught in the rain?
Not particularly. Like, really, who does? I don't mind being in the rain, but if I am caught in it, there's a good chance I was not prepared or dressed for it.
What about
Hence the getting caught part.
pina coladas? What's your stance on pina coladas?
They're not my fave, but you know, I wouldn't
don't like
turn one
either.
away.
Those things.
Do you ever
I
get
like the
caught in a
taste.
pina colada?
I haven't. I do like the taste of champagne. So
Okay.
yeah, mixed bag.
You know, speaking of champagne taste, the Vancouver Canucks are back in action.
Sure.
I'm reaching. I know.
Yeah. Mid-season
The
talk with your
Vancouver-
segues.
The Vancouver Canucks are more like a pint from the Canby during happy hour. Maybe that's a little too harsh, but for anyone who's
Wow.
been to the Canby during happy hour, you know what I'm talking about. The preseason is underway, so training camp is coming on. We're going to talk a little bit about what has come out of training camp so far. The Vancouver Canucks had their first official preseason game. I know they had their inter squad stuff, and there was a prospects game, but this was like the first sort of preseason game down Highway 99 I-5. Suffice to say, their record against the Seattle Kraken remains intact.
Yeah. Yeah, they continue to hammer us.
Yeah, take that for whatever that is worth. So we'll maybe talk a little about that. There's other sort of Vancouver Canucks news on the ice, off the ice, around the ice. So, I mean, we're getting into full-on podcast season. On that note, we had hummed and hawed about how we would sort of adjust our schedule, and having sort of chatted it over just moments ago, breaking news, we will be going to our regular season weekly schedule the Sunday, Monday after Canadian Thanksgiving. So the hockey season will start. That starts Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, at least for the Vancouver Canucks. And then you won't hear us for about a weekish until after. by then, the Vancouver Canucks will have already started planning the parade route, I'm certain,
Mm-hmm.
because this is going to be such a hot start.
Yeah,
But,
give a little time to digest those Thanksgiving leftovers, and then we'll be right back to our weekly schedule.
Yeah, but for the time being, we will remain every second week until then, which means no episode next week. We'll record the first weekend of October. We'll have the Canadian Thanksgiving weekend off, and then we'll be back in action the following weekend. Moving forward through the end of the season with only the holidays off. So let's get into Rewind. If I were to ask you to tell me the biggest news to come out of Vancouver Canucks training camp in Penticton, what would you say it is?
That's hard to say, but I think one of the biggest news, because one of the biggest news going in is, what does Elias Pettersson look like? That's really got to be the biggest question from camp. Does that remain the biggest answer from camp? I don't know, but yeah, good.
Well,
He looks
I
good.
agree. I think it's Petey. The news about Petey and his performance in camp, or at least the performance as assessed by the coaching staff and front office, is probably, I would say, the biggest news. There's a lot of news that's coming to camp, but Petey showed up to camp heavier. Now, when that first hit social media, people suddenly thought Dan Kidd was lazy over the offseason, got himself married, and put on a, 20 extra, love handles. But no, he worked out over the course of the offseason, put on 20 pounds or so of muscle. Like, he got stronger.
Made me so much that the headlines got, they translated it into kilos.
And again, good on Petey for, buckling down and looking to make himself a stronger NHL player. Daniel Henrik Sedin did that at one point in their career, and things just took off from there. But was it the first day, or maybe the second day at camp? Adam Foote was asked about Petey, and his response to media was, that was Petey's best practice, compared to all of last season. And I told him that too.
It's okay, not treating him with kid gloves, I see. Both, promising for the season to come, but worrying for the whole of last season.
Well, correct. But we have to also consider, it's now come out that Petey had to deal with 3 separate injuries over the course of last season.
Right.
And only one of them would have been considered to have been healed-ish until the off season.
4 if you include a broken heart.
Yeah, that's true.
And by that I mean
that one doesn't count.
Not anything else.
So I look at it this way. One, how Petey takes that, I don't know. I mean, it's a weird way to motivate. Man, you really stunk last year, but you look good today.
I guess he's had it all by this point.
Yeah. But it's interesting how a healthy Elias Pettersson is a much better player than an unhealthy version of said player.
I think, he's had various stuff thrown his way and created various things himself that have stood in his way of becoming the best player he can be in the last year or so. So it would be really, he's set up to succeed at last, and he has to. But things look promising so far.
But Alvin, I think it was today, or maybe it was over the course of the weekend, had commented that he's really liking what he's seen from Petey, how he is competing. I was going to say practicing hard. I mean, he hasn't really been playing. But Alvin's words was that he's dragging the rest of the team with him. Now, I don't know if that's a loss of translation.
Yeah.
But does that then mean the rest of the team is...
I wouldn't read too much into that part. I did hear an interesting thing from our friends over at Canucks Conversation, and it was just stating the obvious, but in a very succinct way that the best players in camp are usually those guys fighting for a spot, right? It's the
Mhm.
fringe guys that look the best because the settled guys don't want to throw themselves into camp when they have a long season ahead. And the junior players just aren't good enough to make an impression in the
Yeah.
same way. So, yeah, the fact
So you're
that we
telling me
have a couple
Petey's
of
fighting for a spot on the team?
no, but we do have a couple of standouts from, settled roster players that we can talk about. Along with PD, I would say Demko and Hedel have kind of
Well,
put themselves
Demko
in
was
a
actually
really
the
good
player
light.
I was going to bring up next. It's like Demko was asked how he's feeling. He says he feels great. He was assessed again, and it was the wisdom of the coaching staff and front office, as a player who looks transformed compared to the returned player last season. But let's be real. The fact that the injury to his Peter Piper Peppers muscle kept him out for
Yeah.
as long as it did. When he came back, I think it was very clear to everyone he was not the same goaltender he once was. But also keep in mind, he didn't get a training camp, came into the season cold. No matter how much
Yeah.
opportunity he had to rehab, going into a middle of a season is hard for any player. And having had an off season to do whatever he needed to do to fix the mamas and papas muscle or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah.
Good
I
on him.
mean, him having a healthy off season was just huge, I think, for Demko, and both physically and mentally, and to be able to put his best foot forward. This year, I think it's going to be really big, but
Mhm.
he's going to be pushed all the way by Lankinen, and no matter how good he is, those starts are going to be tempered by and shared with Lankinen. So, yeah,
But even if his
positive.
starts are tempered, so long as he remains healthy, one
Yes.
has to think that Demko is going to potentially return to form, and that's good for the Vancouver Canucks. And if they
Uh-huh.
can keep him healthy, that's the Lankinen factor.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Exactly.
Lankinen's that combination of keep Demko healthy and insurance, sort of mixed into one backup.
Yeah, which we'd love to see.
Heedle's back on the ice. We weren't entirely sure because we had heard absolutely diddly squish. Other than that he got married, was it?
Yeah,
Um,
another 3 players got married this off season, I think.
mhm.
But yeah, he looks good. There's always just I don't think we're ever gonna know, until
Yeah, he's on the
we're
ice.
yeah, or really until we're in the middle of it, like how healthy he is, because even if he looks great middle of the season, he could be one hit away from missing the rest.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't tell that. So as far as we can see, yeah, he looks good, and maybe that second line spot is sewn up, and we don't have to worry
Yeah.
about that.
Have you seen the Guardian helmets that NFL players wear?
No, well, I mean, I've seen a NFL helmet, but nothing in detail.
So the Guardian helmet is similar to what you would see like rugby and soccer players wear. Like Peter Cech sort of wore that style
Yes,
where
the scrum
there's
cap.
some additional, there's like,
Yeah.
and then there's sort of padding on it.
Okay.
The Guardian helmet is like a version of that amplified to the extreme, and the ideas that it cushions potential head impact. Wonder
Mhm.
if the NHL has something like that, and would Heedle be willing to try one on? And I'm not trying to suggest this in jest. I honestly worry for the guy.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
I
we
want
both
him
do.
to be safe. Hence why I wonder. I know
Mhm.
the NHL, sort of culture and
I mean, the
player
fact that
safety is not first of mind for many players. Like
yeah,
Garland's
Garland being
still
the only
only one
one.
with the neck guard.
Yeah, because I think someone else did end up having it, and maybe it was Joshua. Someone else did.
Maybe I don't.
But yeah, I
Peace be
mean,
with
they're
you,
gonna.
Dakota.
I know where you know it has to be forced on these players. It's being grandfathered in from next year. But yeah, every single sort
On
of safety measure has to be forced on
yeah.
players.
On Hedel, though, did you hear his comments about last season?
I remember him saying communicate a lot in his
Yeah.
interviews, but I don't remember
So
what he specifically said about last season.
he had described how, upon arriving in Vancouver in the trade, he felt the first 4 games he played in a Vancouver Canucks jersey were the best 4 games of his career. He was having fun, things were going his way, and then being new was just like go out and play the game you know. Then the coaches started telling him systems,
Yeah,
and there was a
pocket
lot of
hockey.
information, and he couldn't quite keep track of what was what. Which reinforces what we have on the podcast suggested and what others out there have also shared, is that the Rick Tocchet system is to coach the hockey out of you to
Yeah,
play his way, which, it got me thinking. One, okay, you're sort of reinforcing what we already knew, but two, I'm not probably being nice when I paint a broad brush of what I'm about to say on the NHL, but I would argue that there are a number of players that probably would benefit from a simplification in systems. And not to suggest Heedle's one of them, but if you're confusing your players because you're trying to teach them things that don't quite make sense, and that in turn impedes them from playing the game when it was simple, methinks the coaching might be the issue.
I don't remember who said it. I think it was a player on the Blues, but was saying that he liked having coaches explain the reason why they were doing drills. And a reporter asked why he preferred that method, and he said, because we're stupid.
No, there's probably some truth to that. I mean, I'm dumb.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I would be the first one to say that if you're explaining things that are extremely technical, I need to see and I need to do before it really clicks in. And I know that that's what they do in practices, but that's, you've just been traded to Vancouver. You show up, you're playing some
I
pretty
mean,
bang on exciting hockey.
yeah, like
And we're
Hedel,
gonna break
O'Connor,
that.
they were playing, they were fun guys to watch when they
Yeah.
came in. But
Until
it's
Rick coached the
interesting.
fun out of them.
I know. Obviously, a coach working underneath Tocchet and a defense coach at that was that concern that like Canucks would play even more defensive hockey, but it does seem to be that that's not the case, that they're working on defensive breakouts and that kind of more aggressive style of hockey, because Canucks need to find offense. That's the clear message from last season. So if we have some growing pains with that, which we definitely saw some tonight, yeah, that's okay. It's better than Tocchet hockey, I think.
Speaking of something that we saw tonight, we got to see Braden Coots in an NHL preseason game. Arguably the kid that had the best camp.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. He's, not necessarily someone you would describe as a fringe player, having not played in Abbotsford yet and won't play in Abbotsford this year. But yeah, really impressive. He seems to be a smart player, and having a young player be that smart.
So he'll get the systems.
Yeah, he'll get the systems. But like having a hockey sense, because what you have to adapt to when you make the jump from junior to pro hockey is the like speed that you have to think the game, and if you can do that well, then that's a huge thing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens throughout this preseason. I think they're gonna give him quite a look through the preseason.
Do you honestly think they keep him?
I mean, they're definitely not keeping
him
beyond the 9 games. And
yeah, he's the congratulations on dressing in the final preseason game. We'll see you next year.
I mean, that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I just think he's going to get more of a look than was planned for him, because he's I mean, obviously he played tonight. He's a Seattle player, playing in Seattle. Makes sense for him to go, but I think, yeah, I do think he seems to be the story from camp of the good young player. So that's exciting, and
an apple tonight too.
yeah. So
Assisted on Mancini's power play marker.
That's it. After 10 minutes of power play, or however long it was.
Yeah. Who else has impressed you from camp? Asking you that question so quickly that you couldn't even get a drink of water in.
I say Linus Karlsson. He's come back, we saw him be a serviceable fourth line NHLer. He's a star in Abbotsford. There's no way around that. He is a very good AHL player, and he does seem to be okay at the NHL level. The knock on him is always his skating, which hasn't necessarily changed, but he's at least got a little bit faster. So, yeah, I think he knows how to throw his body around, and he gets in the right position. So I think he's been interesting. Hoglander playing with Garland, and he played with Bluger tonight. I think he was on the same line as that. Could be an interesting fit there. But yeah, there was a few Abbotsford guys that were impressive. Yeah, we'll see.
So for me, I feel Ataratu has done what he's needed to do.
Yeah.
But it's got me wondering. So we've talked about him previously. Do you bring him in so he's your fourth line center? And I think you and I had agreed that's probably not best. I don't see how he obviously is a second line. I mean, Heedle's healthy, so Ratu doesn't get that. But it begs the question, Bluger is going to be here. Bluger could probably fill that fourth line spot if need be, but if Karlsson is good enough to be your fourth line center,
yeah, exactly.
Bluger gets elevated to 3,
third.
and Ratu goes to Abby.
Yeah, and it really depends, what they see, whether Karlsson is good enough to make that fourth line and make that jump. And I guess they don't have to necessarily decide for the long term right now, but
no, but that's where for me, I think. I am equally impressed with what we've seen from Karlsson. I think Karlsson makes the conversation a different one early in the preseason, that things could change. But I think casualty in this is Ratu.
Yeah, and he's obviously his face-offs are a difference maker. That makes him stand out. And I do think that's what will set him apart, but whether that's enough to land him in an NHL spot when what is he going to do with fourth line minutes necessarily?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, again, season doesn't start for a couple of weeks. So.
Karlsson's ceiling is bottom 6,
no doubt.
And whereas Ratu was more of a middle 6.
Yeah, and that's for me where the issue lay, is that Ratu has the higher ceiling. This is why I would like to see him have that opportunity. He's not he doesn't benefit from being on the fourth line. If Ratu is good enough to be your third line center, do they then drop Bluger down to the fourth line? Have Ratu there? Karlsson goes to Abby?
Garland is almost too good, especially on a team like Vancouver, to be playing third line minutes, never mind second. I do hope and think that the best route is to keep Bluger and Garland and Hogg as your third line and try that for a while at least, rather than push Garland up.
So
Ratu
goes to Abby.
Yeah. And Ulrichsen, I don't know if we talked about him. He's had another great camp, and he should be really interesting. He's 20 years old now, can go to Abbotsford this year and see how he and Manny work together, because that's another impressive young player.
I'm okay with impressive young players going to Abbey, getting to work under Manny, who has
Exactly.
been extended, that which I find is very surprising.
I mean,
like, is
to
that
me,
a matter?
they just want to hold, the organization wants to hold on to him.
No, I'm not surprised that the Canucks have extended him. I'm surprised that Manny was like, yes.
Well, I mean, I think the idea being, if he doesn't make it as a Canucks head coach within that time,
So he's playing. I get it. Yeah, which we'll touch on. Friend of the show, Patrick Johnson, has shared. Sources are telling him that, lo and behold, the Vancouver Canucks ownership group isn't entirely happy with the way things have been going, and that the front office could be on a short leash. And as we know, well, the front office is always on a short leash with this ownership group, which in turn could also mean that coaches are gone, and then the fact that the front office has to be a cheap one, and the coaches can't be too expensive. Hey, look, we've got a guy. We actually got a couple of guys down in Abbotsford who they're ready or not, and we're going to bring them in. So
yeah, I mean, watch this space, RJ and Manny running.
What's his face, RJ? Please tell me the what's his face was just the moment to get to Ryan Johnson.
This space.
Oh, watch this space. I thought you said what's his face. I'm like, no. Ryan Johnson deserves more respect than what's his face.
Sorry. No, please know that I have a lot of respect.
Watch this space. Got it. Makes better sense. I should think much better of you, Anna.
But yeah, it is crazy considering the length of leash that Jim Benning had. Like, really.
I'm surprised he's still not been hired. Such a great GM.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah. I think you and I should take a short break. You're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna and Chris.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on that.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't put it into the rundown, or maybe it was strategically not there. But before getting into other Vancouver Canucks happenings on the ice, off the ice, they are dealing with some stuff. For our listeners who aren't aware, the son of, was it Paulo Aquilini, I believe, is currently suing his uncles and his grandfather over a situation where a trust that was originally set up to support the family, right down to the grandkids, has been adjusted, changed, what have you. But the claims that have been shared as part of the preliminary portion of this court case are not all that kind to what I think we've expected from this ownership group. I mean, I'm not going to deny that there hasn't been reports in the past of business dealings that aren't quite on the up and up, and the treatment of employees, but there did seem to be a clear line when it came to sexual assault and anything in sort of that realm. So to hear the allegations, very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, and we definitely praised the ownership group and the front office for how they dealt with that within the Canucks organization. But I don't know. I've heard bad stories in property development too about how women are treated working for that company. So not necessarily to that level at all, but yeah, just in general is not good. So that family, it's a mess, and it continues to be a mess.
Well, and there's still no resolution as to how Paulo Aquilini will be bought out of his position
Mm-hmm.
with the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, the last thing that we had heard in that regard was the team had gotten a valuation, which then spurred rumors that, oh my God, they're looking to sell. But really, the getting a valuation makes sense. If someone needs to be bought out of their position, you kind of need to know what that position is worth. And then I believe the scuttlebutt was that they were exploring an opportunity to have another partner come in and purchase said position, because the hot rumor is that the Aquilinis aren't cash flush.
Yes. Yeah. And I think this story is going to rumble on for a little while in its various different trajectories. So something to keep an eye on.
Couldn't there be a day where the Vancouver Canucks don't have this, gray cloud hovering above in the various shapes and forms that it has existed over the past, 15 years?
We dare to dream, Chris.
I mean, it's just been, 15 maybe is a little long. Let's say 13 years, I think. So we started this podcast under a gray cloud, and maybe it's us. It's just been there ever since. But back onto the ice. I like how you put this: Petey and Brock forever. They're like the best buds.
Yeah. And now, the cloud, talking of clouds, dark clouds, the dark clouds of Brock's expiring contract and, the current captain of the New York Rangers. Good luck with that, New York. Yeah, it could be what they need. Obviously, Jake DeBrusk is a bit of a question mark too. Streaky player has been for a while.
He's been distracted by Pokemon. He's out there. He's trying to catch them all.
I know. In complete opposition to all the scandal and all of that stuff that goes on in hockey, there's Jake DeBrusk buying his little Pokemon cards. I love it.
Okay. First of all, I'm not making my light of it. That's pretty cool.
His whole teammate is making fun of him, so I think it's fine.
Yeah, but it when that came out over the course of was it at the golf tournament? What's his? I can't remember the name of the golf tournament.
Jake Milford.
Jake Milford. Thank you. I knew the Jake part, but I'm like, I don't know this.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he's talking about, pulling cards, and now he's apparently buying lunch forever.
Yeah. But yeah, I think TBC if that is what's gonna stick together. But I would like to see Petey and Brock especially get an extended run.
I think we will. I genuinely believe that. I mean, both players were in weird spaces last year for different reasons. Brock was constantly being told by the market that he was going to be traded, right? I mean, he might have been even told by the front office, for all we know, that they were trying to ship him out. But the whole deal thing was if you can't keep him,
ego boost,
deal him.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't happen, people are like, oh my goodness, well, maybe they'll actually make a run and try to re-sign him. We don't know how. We were one of the groups out there. Not that you and I didn't want Brock back. We did. We just didn't know how the Vancouver Canucks were going to make it happen. And lo and behold, Brock goes to free agency for a while-ish, only to sign with the Vancouver Canucks. And that, good. Got signed for maybe a little more money than you or I had maybe talked about last season. But hey, they made it work. But I kind of feel that Brock had to play with all this sort of outside noise, and he didn't do too badly. And then Petey having to deal with the current captain of the New York Rangers and injuries and all of that. And then the pressure.
No naming him. This is fun.
Well, I mean, good on him for becoming a captain elsewhere. Good on him. Lots of F's to give there in the Big Apple. Can't wait for Brooksy and him to
I know.
have a sit down. They probably already have, but now you got a C on your jersey. You can't walk away from that.
Yeah. I know, you can't
Maybe, you know
sulk your
what?
way.
Maybe the C will change him.
Maybe. The A didn't.
Yeah, but there was always Quinn
I know, but
and Bo.
The enemy of the show, just put it so well, it's just he's a great winner, but he's a terrible loser. And when things aren't going his way, he quits on the team. And in various little ways. So maybe that won't happen in New York, but yeah. We'll see.
Have you come around to Evander Kane as a Vancouver Canuck?
I mean, no, but he's here and may as well make the best of him and it's interesting. He's coasted his way through training camp. I know as an NHL veteran that happens. Mm-hmm. But as a controversial player on a new team who hasn't played regular season hockey in a year, it was an interesting choice. Mm. So I think TBC what we have in him, but let's see if this Hedl thing lasts and see what they can cook up, I guess.
We sort of talked about it in the rewind. There does seem to be a solution to what might be going on in the Canucks sort of, four center space.
Yes.
We're having a conversation as to who might fit in 3 and 4, and there doesn't seem to be enough room. Not a bad problem. We're kind of discounting the fact that the guy fulfilling the role on the second line is going to live forever. We do see that there is chemistry forming and sort of the reliance on past seasons chemistry as well. I think we have a solid-ish 4 lines up front.
Yeah.
We have depth on the blue line. Yes. Not entirely convinced we're 3 solid lines. Yeah. I think we're still one really good one we think should be okay maybe, and we need 2 guys to chew up a few minutes.
And obviously I just think it's kind of interesting that we have so many the Abbotsford blue line looks amazing, right? DPD is probably going to be with the big club, but we have Kudratsev, who had his luck at the end of the year. Sawyer Minio, Tom Wielander, who had a just okay camp. Really nothing special. He looks like he's still adapting to pro speed, which is fine. He hasn't played pro hockey at all. So, but yeah. It's really the bottom end of the NHL roster that we're worried about.
Yeah. I mean, there's been worse problems when we had to worry about the top of the roster too. So, let's take that as a win. It's early. I'm kind of feeling better than I was before training camp.
Yeah. And then we do have goalies all the way.
Yeah. Well, I saw that Medvedev was sent back to junior, which makes sense. But his training camp was apparently quite impressive. That had he been a bit older, he would have been entertaining the opportunity to be in the A.
We have 3 think about it right now.
The Vancouver Canucks, crease troubles have not actually been due to lack of depth. It's really come down to injury.
It's true.
And, we think about who's been in net over the course of time that the podcast has been around. We've had some really good goaltenders who've had to stand on their head and do miraculous things, but it was never truly a weakness until that guy got hurt, and then problems ensued. Mm-hmm. There needs to maybe be some credit to the previous front office for addressing some of those issues by adding depth into the system. The current front office has continued to supplement. So it's a nice problem to have. The problem, however, is that you get like Artur Silovs, who may have deserved an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Peace be with Arturs.
But it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. We've got Tulapilo in Abbotsford. Like, Patera can't even get a look in. Yeah. It's a tough world. Peek behind the curtain for everyone. My laptop's about to die, so if I suddenly disappear from that's because the charger I have isn't working. So just wanted to let everyone know.
Yeah.
If you just end up with this by himself.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that warning to both our listeners and to me. I think maybe it would be an opportunity as well for us to wrap up while you're still here. Obviously, the Vancouver Canucks are going to continue playing some preseason hockey. Just to give you an idea as to their schedule, over the course of the next few days, couple weeks, they'll be at home against Calgary on the 26th, at home against the Kraken on the 28th, on the road in Edmonton for the 1st, on the road in Calgary for the 3rd, and then at home against Edmonton on the 9th. Only to kick off the regular season against the Calgary Flames not on the 9th, the Edmonton 3rd, and then Calgary on the 9th. Here, I'm getting my days all mixed up. So when we get back together, we're going to be talking about sort of midway point, and then season gets underway. And again, the Vancouver Canucks hopefully will be planning the parade for that Stanley Cup victory that we totally know they are going to achieve in 3 games. Anna, what final words of wisdom do you have for our listeners?
Always bring your charger.
Good advice. My words of wisdom are, failing that, always have a spare charger, because you never know when your first one will go missing.
Smart.
If you've made it to this part of the show and you want to support us, you can do so by joining us on Buy Me a Coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/podcast. Buy Me a Coffee, otherwise known as
Buy me a pint.
And you can do so either on a one-off basis through an amount of your choosing, or on a recurring basis, which I think it's about $5 Canadian a month, or $50 for the entirety of the year. Not only to get our gratitude, a shout out, you will get access to C4 Off the Rails. That, again, I know I haven't published all summer. All the episodes are there. I will drop a massive glutton of episodes. You'll be learning all about all sorts of stuff. It's just, the problem is the piling up. There's so much, and I don't have enough time to produce. My bad. I will fix that. I find time. I got some days off coming up, so I will make that happen. But on behalf of Anna, A4C03, myself, Chris at Lightforce, you can find us online at c4podcast.com, and on the social media platforms. We're either at the C4 Podcast on X, we're the real C4 Podcast on Threads, and c4podcast.com on Blue Sky. But on behalf of Anna, me, and Craig, we out.